Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. I want to talk real quick about Shaquille O'Neal and Shaquille O'Neal's comments about Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, if I'm not mistaken, he plays for the Brooklyn Nets, and Kyrie is a guy that has a pretty strong position on this whole big debate. And y'all know which debate I'm talking about. I'm not even going to really use the V word and stuff like that because those are the types of words that get you banned on social media and all that. So I'm not going to even use that. But y'all know what I mean when I say the V word. Well, basically, there's a whole interesting debate kind of going on throughout the world, and everybody has different opinions on what they're going to do, what their personal decision is going to be, and how they're going to respond to the controversy. But it's become this real interesting civil war, another one of these ridiculous civil wars that keeps black people divided. People will fight all day on behalf of their Democrat or Republican belief systems, but won't fight all day on behalf of getting what the black community needs in terms of resources. So Shaquille O'Neal, I like the guy. I've always thought he's a great basketball player. He was a lot of fun to watch as an NBA star. I even, he even as a cop, I think his dad was a cop. My dad was a cop. I don't have any issue with Shaq in that regard. I admire what he's accomplished as a businessman. I think that's great too. But lately, I feel like Shaq has really, kind of gone overboard and really shown low class as it pertains to his response to Kyrie Irving. And in case you don't know what's going on, basically they told Kyrie, he's got to get that shot. You know what I'm talking about. And he's just basically saying, I'm not going to do it. He and Andrew Wiggins have made it real clear, like this is where I'm going to be. This is my choice. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna change that for anybody. And I actually respect that. I respect anybody that stands by what they believe in. And Shaq, went into an interview and went out of his way to say, if I were the owner of the Brooklyn Nets, I'd get rid of him. I tell him to get up out of there. We don't need you. Basically, you're a bad teammate. You're a bad person. All these other things. And for some reason, they kind of irked me a little bit. And I think the reason it irked me is because you know I wonder where we get these Negroes from who feel like it's like their job to do like Massa's bidding. And Massa has an agenda, right? Massa picks, because let's just be clear, these mandates did not come from black people. Give me a yes or no if you know what I'm saying. All this mandate stuff didn't come from black people. If it was up to black people, we wouldn't have no mandates. We say, look, just do what you're gonna do. Do what you like, right? Tell me if you understand what I'm saying here. Like, this did not come from black people. This came from white people. White people are the ones who are running these governments and making these decisions and running these corporations and all this other stuff. They're the ones who are going along with it. If white people decided tomorrow that they didn't want to do it, it wouldn't happen. If white people decided tomorrow that it wasn't an issue, then half these Negroes wouldn't be talking about this. They'd be talking about something else. And so my thing that really bothers me, and this really actually goes back to the um the whole B1 philosophy. When I talk about B1, a lot of people don't understand what I mean when I say B1. B1 means like you're black first. And that means that, when you see another black person that's not hurting nobody, you just let them be. Like just find common ground before you can find things to just tear down about that person, especially on behalf of white people. So here's what I'm saying. Here's what it means to me to be on code if I'm Shaq. If Shaq is not B1, we know that he's not black first. He's Papa John's first, right? He's he whatever TNT Sports that he represents them first before he really represents the black community. In my view, I'm not saying it makes him a sellout. I know guys that work for these networks and all that, and I think that's cool. But there's a difference between a Shaquille O'Neal and say like a Chris Broussard. Chris Broussard's a brother that stands up for what he believes in, and that's it. And he cares about the black community. He makes the black community a top priority, and guys like that I can relate to. Shaq doesn't come off to me like that type of guy, and so I'm not asking Shaq to be the type of black man that I am or the type of black man that I think he should be. What I'm saying is that, in my view, if he were really on code with this, you know what Shaq would say? If they said, "Hey Shaq, we got a black man over here that looks like you. We need you to blast his ass because he won't go along with the white man's agenda." Yeah, he would say, "Well, you know what? That's his choice. That he can do what he wants to do." Right? That's all you got to say. You ain't got to say I agree or yeah, that's right. Kyrie's doing the right thing. No, you can disagree. You can say, privately, you might be like, man, I don't understand why he's doing that. That's crazy. But if they ask you, you show the same professionalism that Kyrie's showing. Like Kyrie's showing, to me, it's really sad. I mean, I'm the same age as Shaq, so we're kind of in the OG status. We're not, in our 20s, and it's really unbelievably unfortunate to see when the 50-year-old is less mature than the 30-year-old or whatever age Kyrie is. I don't know how old Kyrie Irving is. I gotta Google it. In fact, let me look it up. I'm gonna look it up right now. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button, and let me know if you can still hear me. I'm literally looking up Kyrie Irving's age because I don't think, I mean, he might be out of his 20s. Let me see if I can Google it. Give me a yes so you can still hear me. He's 29 years old. He's 29 fucking years old, Shaq. So you're like what, 51? So you're old enough to be his dad. Like let's keep that clear. Like these are not two peers that are having a debate. These are not two peers. This is like father against son. Shaq played a generation ago. Sure, he's relevant, and you get older, you get OG status, and you remain relevant because the younger guys show that respect to you. They give you that deference. They know you still can't play. They know you can't play anymore, but they give you that respect because Shaq deserves it as an athlete. But respect commands respect. Respect means that that it's reciprocal, right? And so, sometimes you get older guys that just kind of think that because you accomplished certain things in 1998, that you have the right to make your opinion first and foremost to everybody 20, 30 years later. And it's just not the case, man. So I kind of feel like in this situation, I get the idea of Shaq saying, look, man, I don't agree with this choice. I hope you'll make a different choice. Um, and he has a complete right to say that, and I want to make that clear. I don't want anybody running around here thinking that it makes sense to be anti or pro all this stuff, right? I see it. If you want to know my personal perspective is all this is a personal choice. Yeah, you could say, yeah, but it's contagious, and this is, yeah, but people that get the jab, y'all know what it is. They're catching it and they're spreading it, just like the people that didn't get it. The big difference I've seen is that there is some evidence to say that getting that procedure done reduces your chances of that thing really taking you out, right? And I understand that. I respect that. But what is also up in the air is what are the long-term effects of this? Nobody knows. And there are people who say, you know what? I'd rather take my chances because the odds of me going down because of this are extremely, extremely, extremely low. I know that they're giving these big numbers, like 700,000 people have died from it, and that's a big number, but that's still less than like one fifth of 1% of the population. So it's not as if it's taking out one in every 5 people, or one in every 10 people, or one in every 20 people, or one in every 50 people, or one in every 100 people, or one in every 200, or one in every 400, or one in every 600. No, it's taking out like one in every, 1,000 or something. And that's real, or one in every 700, something like that. I forgot what the number is exactly, but it's something like that, right? So it's real, but it doesn't mean that we're all going to die tomorrow. And there's some people who just say, I think I'm gonna try something different, or maybe I'll wait. You know, and I've mentioned to you guys that what you're really kind of running into is this interesting medical and economic apartheid that is going to really kick a lot of black folks out of the system. And a lot of black folks work in healthcare. They can't get healthcare jobs now. Now ain't that funny, right? A year and a half ago, they were calling the nurses and the doctors heroes and talking about how they had a shortage of nurses. We're gonna run out of nurses, y'all. It's going we ain't got enough nurses, yeah, and it's just the hospitals are overflowed. We can't handle all the pressure. But yet you're now firing people, thousands of people in bulk, like firing thousands of people who are ready to work. Yeah, okay, maybe they're not as safe. Maybe not getting the jab is keeping them from being as safe as they could be. But I think that's a personal choice. I mean, it seems to me like that would screw them. That doesn't screw other people. Maybe that makes them bigger heroes. That they're actually willing to go into that situation. I'll tell you what, I don't know if I'd want to work around people that have, have that disease. I don't think I want to, seriously, jab and not jab. I wouldn't want to do that at all. So I think that those people, they deserve a gold fucking medal in my book. They're like the police officers, who run toward the crime and everybody else is running away. I admire that. The soldiers who go across the world to go to battle, on behalf of what they believe in. I respect that. The firefighters, who run into the fire when everyone else is running out. Shout out to you. Like, God bless people like that. You will always have my respect. Because everybody that talks shit about, police and soldiers and firefighters, they're the first ones to call the police when they have a problem. They're the first ones to call the firefighters when their house burns down, right? So, until you're ready to do the damn job, then honestly, I think some of us need to shut the fuck up. Unless you're doing the job yourself and you're doing a better job, then I think the shut the fuck up protocol is quite appropriate for this situation. I don't know if y'all agree, but that's just what it is. Y'all know me. I got to tell you the truth. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. Please make sure you support this black owned media. We're really trying to build black owned media, and also here's my Instagram, by the way, if you want to follow me on Instagram. There's a lot happening on Instagram. So effectively, Shaquille O'Neal is still kind of bashing away at Kyrie Irving, and I was looking at their comments, right? So I read Shaq's comments, and let me read. Now I'm not gonna say Shaq isn't right. Shaq could be right. I see somebody say Shaq is right. He could be right, but But sometimes you could be right and be wrong at the same time. Sometimes you could be right and be wrong in the way you execute. I think that if you're right, then okay, that's cool. Be right, but at the same time, I don't understand why we got so many Negroes who will go pick up the torch on behalf of white folks' agendas. I don't get that part. Like, what makes you feel like you got to be the ultimate servant for anything that the Democratic Party or Republican Party wants you to do? That's the part that bothers me. When I talk about being B1, B1 to me means, look, I'm black first. So unless I got a real good reason to pick a fight with another black person, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to go around fighting black people because you voted for Biden and I didn't. I'm just not. I'm not, seriously, like, when we have the convention coming up, the All Black National Convention, there's a lot of people that are coming to the convention who voted for Joe Biden. I'm not going to make fun of you. I'm not going to fight you over that. Now, what I will fight you about is whether or not you a black man who ain't taking care of your kids. I'll fight you on behalf of your kids. Or if you are a black person who wants to destroy the community in some horrible way, then yeah, I'll fight you over that. But I'm not gonna fight you over whether or not you voted for Joe Biden or Donald Trump. That's not worth it to me. I'm not gonna fight you over your sexuality. If you are a dude and you want to go lay down with a dude, that has nothing to do with me. I truly give zero, like, I don't even give a micro fuck over. I think I might be the first person ever to use the term microfuck. I'm not sure, but I don't give a single microfuck whether or not you are gonna go sleep with a dude at the end of the day. Why? Well, because as long as you're not putting your penis inside of me or my woman or my children, that is your business. That is you, right? So I'm not going to sit around and carry the torch over white folks' agendas. I'm just not. I'm not going to carry the torch over LGBT. I'm not going to carry the torch over gender-based issues. Men and women fighting each other, the whole gender war where they try to pit black men and black women against each other. Like, don't y'all understand that this is divide and conquer? Don't y'all understand they've been using this against you for the last 400 years to control you? Don't y'all understand that this is a strategy, y'all? I mean, this is something that they've done consistently, deliberately. They said, look, if we make sure that Shaq and Kyrie are fighting over this petty little issue that really neither one of them has a horse in the game on, then that means Shaq and Kyrie cannot come together to actually build anything for the black community. That means that Shaq and Kyrie can't come together and say, let's raise $500 million and go and build 1,000 black owned schools across this country so we can educate black kids. That, when Shaq and Kyrie are fighting over a stupid political issue, think about, let me process this now. Process this. You got two black men that are probably making at least 20 million a year each. Probably more than that, honestly. Making 20 million a year each, who could literally be the mover of worlds if they put as much energy. And I'm not talking about Kyrie, because I'm gonna be honest with you, the 29-year-old is the grown-up right now. Kyrie's been the grown-up. When they ask Kyrie about it, Kyrie's like, no comment. It's private. Please respect my privacy. He's been very respectful. Shaq is the one who's acting like the big buffoon, and he should know better. Your ass, like 800 years old, sit your ass down. Sit down, dude. Seriously, stop it. You were great, and you were a great basketball player in the year 1999. You're not, you're a commentator now. Like, just sit back, be a respectful commentator. So process this for a minute now. Imagine if Shaq and Kyrie didn't weren't arguing over something like this, and instead said, let's get together. We're going to have a summit. We're going to get together all the leading black athletes. We're going to gather LeBron. We're going to gather entertainers. We're going to do what Bill Russell and all those guys did, and Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown. And we're going to come together and form some sort of committee that is where we are going to do the takeover. We are going to lead the black community and make sure our children get educated and make sure the community gets protected, make sure that we own black-owned media, and make sure that our community goes in the right direction. Like, seriously, they could go out here with their corporate connections alone, and if they formed a committee with their corporate connections alone, they could use white guilt to get all these white corporations to give them $1 billion with no strings attached. Maybe a few hundred million. I don't know. Maybe something less, but at least several $100 million where they could go and build black-owned schools all across the country. And then what you do is you hand control over those schools over to the people in the community who are doing the work. You don't try to go in and do everything. You do what Ice Cube did. Ice Cube set a perfect template, in my view, of how the black celebrity can be a huge mover when it comes to where black people go. Ice Cube created his contract of Black America. He didn't sit down and say, well, I'm Ice Cube, and since I've written the greatest raps in history, I'm going to also write the greatest economic and political plan for black people. He knew that was not his wheelhouse. Ice Cube knew that, him writing a political and economic plan for the future of Black America it would be silly as me sitting down saying I'm gonna write the next gangster rap. I'm gonna write the next I'm gonna write the next NWA movie, right? Or I'm going to bust around like Dr. Dre. Like, I can't do that. I'm not a rapper, but you know what I am though? I'm a scholar. I can rap to you all day about economics. I can rap to you all day about Black power. I can rap to you all day about B1 culture and what it means to build a sustainable movement that's going to actually galvanize people for the next 200 years. I can rap about that all day. I could make a #1 hit record in that category, but when it comes to actually doing what somebody like an Ice Cube does, I can't do that. So Ice Cube was smart. Ice Cube said, look, I don't want to do all this. I can't, this is not my wheelhouse, and I don't want to do all this work. But what I can do is take my celebrity influence and empower those who have the substance necessary to provide the kinds of ideas that our community needs to hear in order for us to be successful. So he gathered a bunch of scholars and a bunch of thinkers, and he put together the contract of Black America, and then he used his name to promote it. And so I think that with entertainers and athletes that really want to help, if you really want to help the community, um, you know, look at examples like this and just understand this is not it. Shaquille O'Neal, I mean, God bless him. He sells lots of Papa John's pizza and whatever the fuck he's doing. I mean, I know he's good with business in that regard, but I really don't see him as a person who's relevant in terms of moving the needle for the community at large, largely because his spirit and his intent and his energy and his maturity are way off. I mean, I know he done got dressed up and he's the fancy businessman now, but truth be told, if you know Shaq's career, and I followed his career very closely, all the way back when he was playing with Chris Jackson with LSU, all the way back when he was 18, 19 years old. And Shaq has never been a guy that came off as somebody who was mature enough to truly be an effective leader. Whereas Kyrie Irving, on the other hand, sometimes I agree with what he does, sometimes I don't. But I can tell you that Kyrie has been reaching out to the black community to participate in significant initiatives that would actually move the black community forward in terms of various forms of land ownership, business development, the creation and the control of our own educational systems. Kyrie's about that, and I respect that immensely. And I think, and so if I had a choice on who I'd clone, would I want more Shaq clowns? Would I want more clown clones, or would I want more grown man clones of Kyrie Irving? I would rather have the Kyrie Irving clone. The Shaq clone, we got enough of that. We've always had black men who act like clowns. We've always had people that want to they go out here shacked in the fool. We've had a lot of those. Like there's no shortage of black men who will go and who will act like a clown to make white people laugh. There's literally no shortage of that. Like literally, that's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Y'all had that shit on lock. Like y'all have a motherfucking monopoly on the on coon excellence, on like outstanding outer space level extraordinary buffoonery. Like we've done that, right? That's out there, right? The clown clones are everywhere. Just go on the internet, you'll see 1,000 black men like laughing, making people laugh for money, right? But what you don't have, what's rare, the rare diamond that you have, is a guy like a Kyrie Irving, who, whether you agree with him or not, I'm not telling you to agree with what he's doing. I'm not. I mean, he's an interesting guy. A lot of things he does, I may not agree with, but let me tell you what's special about Kyrie. Kyrie is a guy who is willing. Pay attention now, to do something that 99.9% of the people that are even listening might not would have a hard time doing. This brother's talking about walking away from hundreds of millions of dollars because of his beliefs. Process that for a minute. Like, how many of y'all, give me a yes or no, how many of y'all would have a hard time walking away from an extra 300 million, 200, $300 million, because of something you believe in? Like, I'm gonna be the first to raise my hand. I've never been confronted with that type of situation. It's easy for me to be radical. It's easy for people like me to be radical because the white man never wanted me anyway. I was rejected from that system long ago. So it's easy for me to sit on the sidelines and talk my shit. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I don't have any use for them. They don't have any use for me. But how many of you? Give me a yes or no. Let's be honest. How many of you would have a hard time walking away from $300 or $400 million if you had to do that to stand for what you believe in? Like, so this is like a Muhammad Ali type moment. This is kind of the thing where, I think history is going to judge Kyrie in a favorable light. And I don't know if they're going to look at Shaq in a favorable light. If you remember when Muhammad Ali was making his political stands, for his various reasons, and not to make the exorbitant comparison between Kyrie and Muhammad Ali, but then again, nothing's sacred. I'm from Louisville, love Ali, grew up hearing stories about Ali from my dad ever since I was little. But remember when Ali was doing his thing, when Malcolm X was doing his thing, when Ali and Malcolm were working together, and the Nation of Islam, and just and Dr. Claude Anderson even back then, just a lot of people that were very radical. You always had those black people who wanted to fit in, who were the first Negroes to volunteer to go on the show and attack them on behalf of the man. You always had that guy. And so the sad thing is that Shaq, it has become that guy. Again, there's no reason why Shaq has to be. Why is it that they always find that black person who will go on the front lines to be the one to attack the radical black person? Like the first one to line up to want to beat their fellow slave is another black person. That part I don't get. Look, my thought is, and I've seen this, right? I saw this even happen on the scholar level. I saw Michael Eric Dyson and Melissa Harris Perry being propped up by the Obama administration to attack Cornel West. And they did it. That's a deliberate strategy. They deliberately choose a black person to make the attack so that they can take race out of the equation. I've seen that also. I remember when in 2006 I did this thing with CBS Sports where right before the Final Four they did a little segment called "Should College Athletes Be Paid?" And back then it was very radical. It was something that many people didn't agree with. But I've always consistently, if you go back and read my articles for the last 25 years, I've always written that athletes should be paid. To me, it was not a debate. It's like, yeah, you're a worker in America. You should get paid for your labor. Like, who the fuck came up with this idea that somehow the rules should change because you're black? Like that's some real straight out of the like Black History book shit. Like that's some old plantation stuff. Like, oh well, everyone should get paid. Every man deserves to be paid for his labor, except when you black. Because when you black, you should be glad that you got a job. Like, come on, man. So anyway, I was on this thing back in 2006, and and they, so I went in there, and they were like, "Should college athletes be paid?" And I said, "Of course they should be paid. Should you be paid for doing your job?" Like, and I said, and I explained it real simple. I said, athletes generate billions of dollars. Their coaches have multi-million-dollar contracts. All the commentators, including you, are making millions of dollars from the athletes playing. And when the fans show up for the games, they're not showing up because they want to see a commentator. They're not showing up to see the coach. They're showing up to see that big 6'8" black man who's going to run down the court and dunk a basketball. So why in the world should his mama still be living in the projects when everybody else is getting paid off of his labor? That doesn't make any sense. So it was an easy argument. It wasn't like, there's some arguments that are hard where I got to use my whole PhD to make the argument. Some arguments are easy. You can make that argument if you are in the third grade. I swear to God. Like, mommy, I cleaned the kitchen. You said I'm gonna get paid if I clean the kitchen. Your 8-year-old can make that argument that because they did the work, they deserve the pay, right? So this is not a complex concept, right? So I did this thing on CBS, and let me tell you what they did. This relates to the Shaq Kyrie thing. Every time I made a comment, a soundbite, because remember, CBS was making billions of dollars off those athletes. So I was like, I don't even understand why y'all even asking this question, because y'all know what the answer is. So every time I make a comment, they put a soundbite of me saying that, of course, athletes should be paid. Then check this out. They would put like 3 black men right behind me who all disagreed with me. 3 black, they would literally post up 3 dudes, 3 Negroes that all of them employees for CBS. I remember that one was Clark Kellogg, another one was a guy named Lynn Elmore, and then there was another guy, what was it? There was one more. I can't remember. Oh, and then they would have like these white coach. Then they would start pouring in the white people after that. They have like Coach Mike Krzyzewski, and I want to say it was like Dick Vitale. It wasn't Dick Vitale. It was somebody like that, right? And there was a specific strategy. There was a cadence and a pattern to how they squashed the rebellion. The cadence was, we're gonna throw him up there like a baseball where you throw the ball in the air so you can knock it out of the park. So we're gonna throw this guy up there so we can just take his argument and knock it out the park. And we're gonna start off the cavalry. When the cavalry comes, the original infantry that does the first line of a wave of attacks is gonna be other black men. We're gonna find black people who believe in our agenda, and we're gonna post them up to take down this Negro, because if a white man responds to him, then they can make it racial, which it was. So if we get black people to do our dirty work on our behalf, then we can come in stealth. We can come in and we can kind of sneak in. So it's kind of the same way with pretty much everything. Like, that's a standard tactic. They used that when Cornel West was going after the Obama administration. They didn't attack Cornel West with white people. They attacked him with black people. They propped up Michael Eric Dyson and Melissa Harris Perry, put them into what was that magazine? I forget. Some white liberal magazine, Slate magazine, and they gave them 10,000 word essay. They gave them massive amounts of space, heavy, high value real estate in these magazines. Now this is like extra butter biscuits. Like, these are really warm, tasty, delicious, like premium butter biscuits that they were paying them to basically go and take this Negro out. They were like, we want you to seek and destroy like a fucking hound dog to make sure Cornel West, it completely loses his relevance. Why is that a problem? Why is that different from just saying I disagree with him? Because you could easily have done something different. You could have easily said, it hurt my heart to say this, because I knew Michael Eric Dyson. I like him a lot. I like him. I like Cornel West. I never met Melissa Harris Perry, but whatever. And but so you could have easily said, you know what? I don't agree with what he's doing. I don't agree with what he's saying, but I'm gonna leave that alone. Like, to me, that's B1. B1 means like, look, this brother over here doing something crazy. I don't agree with it, but I got bigger fish to fry, right? The bigger fish are maybe things like whether it's white supremacy or elevating the black community. I'd rather, if I'm going to fight somebody, I'm going to fight somebody from another community who's harming the black community. I'm not really going to fight a black person who's trying to do something good on behalf of black people, right? So ultimately, I will say that, that this is a common tactic, that there's a reason why there are 2 black men on this screen right now and not a white man and a black man, right? Because if it were a white man and a black man, then they would make it racial. But they love to kind of do with black men the same way remember when Michael Vick went down for dog fighting, and the way they do with dog fights is they would take the dogs and put them in a cage and make them fight each other to the death. So they just kill each other. Well, they kind of do that with black men. They kind of put us in a cage, and all of us are fighting for just like the dogs. The dogs would fight for like little amounts of food. So it was either eat, or it was either fight and kill, or starve to death, right? So they give us little crumbs, maybe a couple butter biscuits. We end up fighting over a little bit of TV time. Like, I'm trying to get this TV network owned by white people to put me on over this other black person, and they only got space for one black person. This is why black people need to own their own media, right? So because there's only space for one black person, I need to take this Negro out so that I can get my space and my shine, and make sure he doesn't get his, right? Whereas the ideal situation is one of abundance. Abundance means that this is where ownership is powerful. If you have a black owned network that's truly bringing out the best and the brightest of the Black community, then there's room for all of us. There's room for all of us to have fame. There's room for all of us to make money. There's room for all of us to be successful. There's room for everybody to get on top, right? I ain't got to compete. I ain't got to take out Kyrie to make sure that I'm getting my shine or that I'm getting my rewards or my pats on the back. Look, we can just disagree, man. I don't have to go out here and do, again, this is a similar pattern. I don't have to go out and discredit another Black man on behalf of somebody else's agenda. And I think that's the big issue. It's one thing if you just say, Kyrie chose not to do this. I chose a different route, but I respect Kyrie and I wish him the best, man. But I that wouldn't be the way I do it. But hey, everybody's got their own right to make their own decision. Like I think that would be like, why can't you do that? Why does it have to get to this whole like I want to make sure Kyrie is like completely fired from his job and literally has no relevance in the world and he has no valid point whatsoever. Like there's nothing valid about what he's saying at all, even though the majority y'all don't know this, but I did a survey on this platform and the majority of you that when I surveyed you, like I think 70% of you, it was really surprising actually. I didn't know that it was that high. 70% of you said that you chose not to do it. And I was like, whoa, this is a real watershed moment because there's a real consequence here. A lot of people are losing their jobs because of this. A lot of people can't. They're even trying to pass laws saying you can't get on the airplane, if you don't do certain things. But Victory Boyd, shout out to her family. They actually turned. Well, they were pushed out, but they proudly walked away from a chance for her to sing it at the NFL season opener. She was going to sing the Star Spangled Banner or whatever the national anthem at the season opener and in front of millions of people. And they said, "We need you to get this shot." She said, "Well, can I wear a mask? Can I get a test? Can I social distance?" They said, "No, no, no. You must put this in your body." She said, "No, I'm not putting this in my body." And there's been women out here that have said, "Look, I want to have kids, and I don't know what the long-term effect of my fertility is." So I don't. I really think anybody who says that they don't have a valid point is being disingenuous, because I can sit here and say, look, if you did it, you have a valid reason for doing it. I totally understand that. But you also have to respect the fact that other people have a valid reason to not do it. Right. And I think that when I saw this thing with Shaq and Kyrie, I was really disappointed, not just because you have the same typical thing where Black man's being propped up to kind of discredit another Black man over an agenda that's not even a Black agenda. It's a horizontal issue. Dr. Claude Anderson talks about that a lot. He talks about horizontal issues dividing Black people. There's no reason, again, don't get me wrong. I mean, sometimes we all want to debate another Black person. Many of us disagree with another Black person. Many of us sometimes want to fight another Black person. But if I'm going to fight a Black person, it would have to be over an issue that I feel is very harmful to the Black community. So in this particular case, the reason I'm okay with fighting with Shaquille O'Neal is because I see Kyrie as an asset to the Black community, and you're being harmful to a guy that I think can be an asset to the community. Also, this generational divide of the older Black man who's literally damn near twice this dude's age acting like a kid because you somehow forgot that it's no longer 1999. Like you're not young, you're not a young guy anymore. You're supposed to be providing guidance and leadership to these young guys. You're not supposed to be out here beefing with a dude who was literally born when you were in college. Seriously, dude. So it's kind of crazy. Like so get off of that nonsense. It's ridiculous. Now let me see. I'm looking at some of your questions. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe button. My Instagram is the real Boyce Watkins. It's all right here. In case you didn't know, we actually have a social media platform that we own called Blag Enough, where you can actually look up other Black people in your community that you want to connect with. So feel free to go to blagenough.com if you want to take a look. It's right there. Now let me look at some of your questions. Carlos says, Boyce, you need to stop with the misinformation. No, Carlos, I think you got to stop with your misinformation. So there we go. Let me see. Okay, so some people are debating the jab and the virus. I'm not going to debate that because I'm not interested in trying to, you know, um, I'm not here to convince you. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not here to tell you what's what. I've shared, some of what I've seen in terms of the stuff we've researched. My wife is a full professor of social work, and we're both scientists. Like we both, have been trained on that at a high level in terms of like our own field, right? Like I'm a financial scientist. She's a scientist of social work. So we're smart enough to kind of dig through data and all that, but we're not like medical doctors, right? But I have, my sister's a medical doctor, so we've had some interesting conversations. Let me see here. No Cap Job says, "Boys, when you gonna talk about Lizzo's TED Talk?" I didn't know she did a TED Talk. I'm gonna go look that up. God bless Lizzo. I hope she's okay. The fake visits is fake. Okay, your body, your choice. It should be a personal decision, not a mandate. Yeah, I think I'm really concerned about the way where the liberal left has gone, in terms of not feeling like individuals have the right to make personal decisions about their own bodies. And now, of course, they'll make the argument to say, well, yeah, you're putting other people in danger when you don't do what we tell you to do. But even that's not true, right? When they started revealing that, if you catch it, you can still transmit and all that stuff, that right there kind of undermines that argument. Plus, I can make the same argument about abortion. Like I could say, well, your decision to get an abortion, it affects other people. It affects the baby, first of all, because he's going to be dead. And then it affects the person that you made the baby with, right? They're losing their child, right? So I could make that same argument that your personal choice is affecting other people. I mean, I don't know if y'all think I'm crazy for saying that, but to me, I think that's pretty logical. You can't act like an abortion is a decision that only affects you, right? So, so what it does, unfortunately, for the liberal left is it undermines a lot of the things that they've been arguing up until this point. And that doesn't make them look hypocritical. Yes. Are the Republicans also hypocritical? Yes, they absolutely are. That's why I tell black people I don't think you should get caught up in the Democrat Republican stuff, because that's not helpful to you. Can anybody explain to me how they can tell the difference between a real card and a fake card? That part I don't know, but be careful with that, because they'll probably have some federal laws against that. Really concerned, reminds me of Germany. It is getting interesting. I'm really curious to see which way this is going to go. Starting to feel like I live in Cuba. Yeah. Why Congress is not offered the same mandate. That's interesting too, right? Like I think with Biden, I remember Biden saying that, and Pelosi saying that they can't force their staff to do it, but they can create scenarios where other people feel forced to do it. Healthcare workers are forced. That's a little weird to me. I don't understand that. That's kind of strange to me. That's a little problem. I think, to me, honestly, I'm like, well, if you're telling me to do something, at the very least, I need to see you do it too. You do it first. You first. They have that movement hashtag them first. Look, them first. You do it first, and then maybe I'll think about it. I think the same thing should be true for war. When they declare war, they don't want to send their kids to war. They want to send your kids to war. Like, I mean, if that right there doesn't give you a clue that they on some bullshit, I don't know what does. Like, my thing is like, if you believe in this, then do it too. Like, or you want me to eat that food, you take the first bite. That right there is common sense. There's literally a whole theory on this. It's called lemon theory in finance. Lemon theory basically says that if you ain't got no skin in the game, I'm not gonna put no skin in the game. Now, there's of course advanced, high level mathematical ways of kind of expressing that sentiment. But that's pretty much what lemon theory basically says. It says, if you are, it's like, it goes back to like selling a car. Like if you buy a bad car, it's a lemon, right? And so basically, the first question somebody asks when you want to sell something, or they should ask, is if you sell something, let's say you got something and you say, man, this car's worth 50 grand, but I'll give it to you for 15. What's the first thing you're gonna ask? Seriously, smart people in the room, tell me, what's the first thing you're gonna ask? Are you gonna say, "Oh, well, thank you. This is great. I got a good deal. I got a $50,000 car for 15,000. They gave me $35,000 just because they want to be nice to me." What is that? What you gonna say? No, you're not gonna do that. You're gonna say, "Okay, well, what's wrong with it? Like, why? If it's so great, then why don't you want to drive it, right?" And if their answer is not good enough, then you're gonna be like, "No, that's all right. I'm good." Right? But if they can convince you, like if they're like, "Oh, well, I would keep the man, I want to keep this car, but I'm moving to Seattle and somebody gave me a new Mercedes, so I don't need two cars, so I'm letting it go, and you're my boy, and blah 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 blah." Then you're like, "Okay, okay, all right." So you've helped me assuage my doubts, right? That's what lemon theory is about. Lemon theory kind of says, if it's so great, then why don't you do it yourself, right? So ultimately, or if you're telling me that I should date that woman, and I know you're single and you're telling me how great she would be for me, I need to know, well, why aren't you dating her, or why did you break up with her, right? So anyway, let me keep going. Um, are Joe Anderson, your question, Joe? I will say I think that's a good question. Let me see here. Are they putting other people at health at risk? I don't know, man. Stephen Jones, yes, military are pawns. They are tools of the system. Yeah, well, let me just say this, though. I have a lot of respect for soldiers. I think soldiers are, some of the most admirable. They should be the most admired people in this country because, there's nothing more important than defending the borders of a nation, right? So I personally think soldiers are my heroes. My daddy was in Vietnam, so shout out to all the soldiers and the veterans. They are on some BS, and we, the people, need to research the Nuremberg Code and the Constitution Act accordingly. Yeah. Let me see here. Boys for president. Thank you, Don G, but I am never going to run for president. Derek Bryant, do you think the system will crash by the end of the year? No, I don't think it will. Nah, man. I think people have always, for like, last 80 years, literally 100 years, people have been writing books talking about how the system's going to crash. By the end of 1924, the American system is gonna fall apart and blah 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 blah. And then they write a book about it, and everybody buys the book because fear sells. Fear sells. If you ever want to make a lot of money, two things that will always sell are sex and fear. That's it. If you have sex and fear, there's something about those two emotions that just make people react. So yeah, so there you go. So you're always going to have people that will write books about the end of the world, and people will buy those books because if I write a book predicting the end of the world and I say, oh, the world's going to come to an end in 5 years, I don't actually have to prove anything, right? I don't have to have any like merit to my argument. Like you're not holding my feet to the fire. It's like me. It's like me sitting on this podcast and telling you I'm the fastest human being on earth. And as long as you never make me actually have to run a race with a stopwatch, then I can claim all day that I'm the fastest human being on earth. But it's easy because I don't have to race anybody. I don't have to, you're not going to time me, right? So you've seen this, where you've seen where people are like, oh, the world's going to come to an end in 1985. And then 1985 comes. So for 4 years, so they write the book in 1981, right? So for 4 years, they're making millions of dollars because they're predicting the end of the world by 1985. And then 1985 comes and goes and nobody's dead. And then they write another book. Oh, I was wrong. The world's going to come to an end by 1992. 6 years goes by. I make millions of dollars selling my book. 1992 comes and goes. Nothing happens, and then I write another book. Like that's literally a pattern people have done when it comes to the pending collapse of the global economic system. And the reason that works, I think, is because people fear things they don't understand that well, and also because there are legitimate concerns about the global economic system. I'm not sitting here. I've done videos about it where I've explained to you guys that the government does have too much debt. I think we're up to $28 trillion in debt. The amount of debt per taxpayer is about a little bit less than $250,000. And also the debt to GDP ratio, which is debt divided by the amount of gross domestic product or the value of the goods and services produced in this country, that ratio has skyrocketed. Also, this year we spent $6 trillion and only brought in $3 trillion in revenue. And so we can't do that. You can only do that for a little while. So it's like if you lose your job, that's what the pandemic was like. The pandemic was kind of like the whole economy lost its job, and you don't have any income. And you say, oh, honey, we got the credit card. Let's live off the credit card. Well, you can't live off the credit card forever, right? You can't do that, right? And then your debt level is going to balloon, and you have to have some sort of level of productivity that allows you to play catch up. So if you go deep in debt because you had a bad economic situation, a person with common sense that goes through that says, man, I lost my job. I had to go dig into my savings. So I depleted my savings and I maxed out my credit cards. They know, number one, there's a time limit to that. You can't do that forever. And then number two, you got to play catch up. That's the key. You got to play catch up. So you say, okay, we're going to tighten our belt to get our savings built back up. We're going to pay down some of this credit card debt. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to make more money so I can attack these bills faster, right? These old bills. America doesn't do that. America doesn't do that. What America does is America is like the guy who maxes out the credit card, depletes his savings, and then still keeps spending the same even after the crisis is over, right? And never has any desire to play catch up. So they just go back to the credit card company and they say, hey, we need you to increase the debt limit on my credit card, right? Think about that's what the government's doing. They're always going to Congress saying, oh my God, we need to increase the debt limit or we're in trouble, right? So they go to the credit card. So imagine that you could go to your credit card company, which you can't, and simply keep saying, like, look, I need you to increase your, no, my limit was 50 grand. I need you to increase it to 75 grand because if you don't, I'm going to get evicted and blah, all these problems are going to come. Then they increase it to 75 grand. You max it out again. Then you come back and you say, oh, I need you to increase it to 100 grand because if you don't, then I'm going to get evicted or the world's going to come to an end, right? Now you could do that maybe with your parents. Like if your parents are the people who were giving you access to the credit or access to the money, then they might, then maybe that could work, right? You could say, hey, look, I'm too big to fail. I'm too big to fail. This happens in real families. I've seen this happen in families where maybe the child is like, look, mom, I need you to loan me more money because I got your grandkids. And if you don't loan me more money, then your grandkids will be homeless. And you don't want your grandkids to be homeless, do you? And the grandma's like, no, I don't want that. So the grandmother keeps coming through, saving the son or saving the kids or saving the daughter, because they never actually go full circle in terms of that financial accountability. Like you have to have a yin and a yang in your economic system. You have to have a balance. When you go borrowing a bunch of money, you got to eventually go bring that money back in so you can rebalance things. America doesn't do that because America is not a country that believes in accountability. That's it. It goes all the way to the top. It starts at the very bottom. Back in the fucking 90s. Everybody remember the 90s when they started giving every kid a trophy? Like even the fat kid who got last place will get a trophy. I thought that was the dumbest shit ever when it happened. I was in my 20s like, what is this? Like you don't get a trophy for coming in last place. Like there's no incentive to come in first place. If everybody gonna get a trophy, then shit, I might as well not even try. And so you go all the way to the top. It's like America is the country where everybody gets a trophy. So basically what they're doing now is they're like, oh, the economy's going bad. We're going to go and borrow $3 trillion so that you can stay home and get a check and whatever, right? And that's fine. I don't care about that part. But it's kind of like, okay, at some point when your damn federal budget is so fucking out of whack that it's ridiculous, you have to rebalance the universe again. You got to really have some people that have the political will to say, where are we going to get this money? Okay, well, you know what? Look, Jeff Bezos, you made $50 billion last year. We taxing all of that shit. We're gonna leave you about 10 of that. Out of that last 50 billion you made, we're gonna give you about 10. We're gonna take the other 40 billion and we're gonna do what we gotta do with it. The multimillionaires, the wealthy people, you're gonna still be fine. You'll still be driving Jags and Lamborghinis and Rolls Royces. But we need you to come in and provide the resources to bail out the government. You can't just come in and take food out of the cookie jar and not put nothing back, right? And that's the problem. That's the hypocrisy of the right. The Republican Party protects this, right? The Republican Party, that's their downfall, is that they really are that party of the rich. They use all these dog whistle bullshit concepts to kind of get people riled up. Like they get them riled up over, like I don't know, the Trump supporters get caught up in, you know, all these stupid issues, right? That's where you get but because you need those votes from those toothless rednecks in Appalachia who are never going to have any money, but they're mad because they want Jesus in school or they're upset about abortion, right? So they use those issues to bring in the masses, but really in the back rooms, what they're doing is they're letting corporations and wealthy people come in and raid the government. They're coming in and they literally are getting these massive bailouts. They take major risks with government money, and it becomes heads I win, tails you lose. Heads I win, tails you lose. That means I never lose. So if I am the corporate raider up on Wall Street getting massive amounts of government money to take unbelievable, exorbitant risk, then I'm going to go and take all those risks because I know that when things go bad, mommy and daddy's going to bail me out. And mommy and daddy is effectively the federal government. So all these people telling poor people to pick themselves up by their bootstraps are full of shit because they're not picking themselves up by any bootstraps. The government is providing their playground, their economic playground, and there's no accountability because a lot of that is not even being taxed. And that's fundamentally problematic and unfair. But more importantly, it's going to destroy your entire economy because now your government's so deep in debt that it's ridiculous. So there you go. So that's my breakdown of what's going on with the government. I know we started off talking about Shaq and Kyrie, but y'all know what it is. I like to have intelligent conversations with you guys about the issues that matter. So anyway, BoyceWatkins.com is my website, by the way, if you want to go and get a lot of free information. I'll be, excuse me, nagging you on email with lots of with what I think is very helpful information. So feel free to go to BoyceWatkins.com. And also Powernomics.com is where Dr. Claude Anderson has his books and everything else. So if you are into things like Powernomics and Black wealth and Black economics, what I'm asking everyone to consider is for the holidays to buy Dr. Claude Anderson's books, his book sets, and give them away as gifts to the people that you love. If you love them, you will empower them. You know, if you love them, you will put them in a position to be successful. There are very few books ever written in the history of this country that are more important than Dr. Anderson's books, and y'all know what it is. I shout this man out to the ends of the earth because he's the OG that paved the way for people like me. Without him, there is no me, and I want to make sure I acknowledge that. All right, guys, if you could please hit the thumbs up button, hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button before you go. And I'm gonna get out of here. Long story short, when you talk about Shaquille O'Neal, my summary on Shaquille O'Neal and Kyrie Irving is: chill out, Shaq. Stop it. It makes you look stupid. You're 52, you're 51 years old, whatever. You know, go do business, go do what you got to do. And really, for those of you that care, Shaq probably doesn't care. Shaq didn't care what I think, and that's fine. He probably shouldn't. But for those that do care, you know, remember the B1 philosophy kind of means, you know, focus on the things that matter. You know, find the things that you have in common as opposed to the things that you have apart. Like don't go, if you're gonna fight with a black person, fight with them over something that matters. You know, fight with them over something that affects the ability of our kids to get an education, or the ability of our community to get the wealth that it needs, you know, to build industry, things like that. Don't fight with them over like Democrat Republican issues and LGBT and or whatever, or immigration. Like that's like the weirdest thing. Like one black person discrediting another black person over U.S. immigration policy, unless you're talking about Haiti. If you're talking about something with Haiti, that's a different situation. But if you're talking about like what to do with Afghan refugees, or what to do with, you know, all the Latino people coming across the border, I don't personally see that as our issue. In fact, I think that's an issue that harms black folks. That's just my 2 cents. All right, guys. So I'm gonna get out of here. Please have a great day. Love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.